All right. Welcome. How's it going, you three? I guess I just gave away how many people are in class. Thanks for being here. You're welcome. Welcome to Restore and anybody out there watching. So this is a time for us to slow down a little bit, to pay attention, to feel the breath in the body, to give yourself permission to arrive exactly as you are, with compassion, with kindness. And I wanted to offer something at the beginning of our practice, and it's something that I shared, in that the very first live stream, Facebook Live class that I taught at 21st Yoga right after everything kind of shut down. I think it was in March. I shared this quote that my boyfriend shared with me, and I was just reminded of it yesterday. And it was actually the Girl Scout class that I taught yesterday. And for me, it helped me kind of take a step back and see the bigger picture. And because I think it can get ugly these days, as we feel the pressure of the pandemic, socially, economically, politically. So why don't we recline onto our backs? You can get comfy, and then I'll share this quote with you. So this is from Ira Byock in his book, The Best Care Possible, A Physician's Quest to Transform Care Through the End of Life. So you can just allow the body to settle and relax here. Years ago, anthropologist Margaret Mead was asked by a student what she considered to be the first sign of civilization in a culture. The student expected Mead to talk about fish hooks or clay pots or grinding stones. But no, Mead said that the first sign of civilization in a culture was a femur, a thigh bone, that had been broken and then healed. Mead explained that in the animal kingdom, if you break your leg, you die. You cannot run from danger, get to the river for a drink, or hunt for food. You are meat for prowling beasts. No animal survives a broken leg long enough for the bone to heal. A broken femur that has healed is evidence that someone has taken time to stay with the one that fell, has bound up the wound, has carried the person to safety, and has tended the person through recovery. Helping someone else through difficulty is where civilization starts, says Mead. We are at our best when we serve others. So I would just invite you to allow that notion, that sentiment, Allow it to land for you. We are at our best when we serve others. Allowing the body to arrive here in your practice, to settle, to ground. And can you really allow your body to soften and to release and to let go to the earth, giving more of your weight or effort to the ground? And take a moment just to notice what there is to feel in the body in this moment. Maybe the steady presence of your breath, maybe different sensation that is present for you. But in our practice today, there is no rush, there is no hurry. Nothing you have to do. Shifting from the doing to the being. Let's take about 5 to 10 more breaths here in your reclined posture, whatever you've chosen. And on your next in-breath, will you stretch and lengthen the arms up and back alongside your ears. Reach through your fingers and your toes. Good, and let's go ahead and pull the knees in toward the chest. And just rock and massage side to side. And let's draw little circles with the knees so you can feel that circular gentle pressure around your sacrum and your lower back. Good. Pause and go the other direction. And then bring the soles of the feet to the ground, to the earth. And bring your arms down along your sides. Let's just work with some gentle pelvic rocks back and forth. So you can start by moving the pubic bone down away from the navel and feeling the lower back arch away from the floor. And then tucking your tailbone and pressing the low back into the floor, moving pubic bone toward the navel. And just that gentle movement back and forth. Good. And then if you'd like to here, if it would feel good to your spine, we're going to start to tuck the tailbone and peel up into an easy bridge pose. And then lower the spine and the pelvis back down. If that feels like it's too much movement, then you can certainly just go back to the first thing that we were doing, or you can continue to lift up a little bit higher into that bridge pose. And just go at your own pace. Feel how your breath naturally moves the body as you peel up and lower back down. Good. And perhaps involve the arms here. So you can peel up, stretch the arms up and back, increasing that capacity for your breath. And then everything lowers back toward the floor. Let's take maybe 3 or 4 more rounds of this spinal movement in and out of bridge pose. Good. Let's go ahead and finish this last round that you're on. And when you settle back to the floor, bring the soles of your feet together and let the knees open out wide. Supta Baddha Konasana, this reclined bound ankle pose. If you need support for the knees here, you could slide blocks underneath the outsides of your knees or thighs. Or if you happen to have a bolster, you could take the legs up and over the bolster and support the knees that way. And sending the breath down into the pelvis, the hip flexors, the lower back. You take about 5 more breaths here. And as you're ready, bring your hands down to the outsides of your knees or your thighs and guide your knees back together. Separate your feet so they're now to about the edges of your mat. Stretch your arms out wide like wings. And windshield wiper both knees to the right, so you're rolling to the outer edge of your right foot and the inner edge of your left foot, and maybe turning your head to your left if that feels good to your neck. And then back through center, and we'll drop the knees to the left and turn the head to the right. So rolling to the outer edge of that left foot and the inner edge of the right foot. Pausing. And then on your own, you just gently move back and forth here according to your own breath and pace and sensation. Good. The next time your knees drop over to your right, I'd like for you to stay there and either just hold this pose as it is, or pick up your right foot and ankle, let it rest on top of your outer left leg. If that doesn't feel good to you, you're welcome to modify or support your knees with your bolster or your block. And be willing to feel the sensation in the body. Let it settle, let it acclimate. Good. Will you take another cleansing breath here in your twist? You're going to keep the ankle where it is, but bring the knees back up to your upright position. So you're in a figure 4 pose now. Right ankle over the left. You could take your right hand to your right thigh and press down, opening up that crease in your right hip. Or maybe pick up your your left foot, hold on to the leg, or find a block or a bolster and let your left foot rest on that. So that will give you just a little extra emphasis here for this stretch. And if you've got a hold of your left leg, make sure you're not stressing your neck or your shoulders. Soften through your jaw and your face. Take 3 more deep breaths here. Maybe stretch up your left leg and circle through the foot and the ankle if you're working with that, if that leg's off of the ground. Good. Last breath here. Release out of that. Uncross your legs. Bring the soles of the feet back to the ground a little wider than the hips. Stretch your arms out wide. And let's go back to these windshield wipers, side to side. We'll just do it a few rounds here. Go at your own pace. Take your time. And inviting movement in your body that feels nurturing and therapeutic. Nothing forced or harsh. And the next time your knees drop over to your left, you'll pause here, maybe keep it as is, or pick up your left foot and ankle, let it rest on top of your outer right leg. So you're in this kind of collapsed figure 4 position. You can certainly use a block or a bolster underneath your knees. Good. Give this another couple of breaths. And then keeping the left ankle over top that right leg, let's bring the structure back upright. So you're in this figure 4. Reclined pigeon with the left leg over your right. And gently press that left thigh forward and away, opening up the crease of your left hip. Maybe pick up the right foot, hold on to the leg, or place your right foot up on your block or your bolster. You could even scoot over to a wall and let your foot rest on the wall. I know that's more for people at home, I guess, but that's an option if you're close to a wall. And again, just make sure you're not stressing your neck or your jaw in order to hold on to the leg. Let's go ahead and take about 3 or so more breaths, and you're welcome to stretch the right leg up into the air. Maybe move through the right foot and ankle. Good. And then let's go ahead and release out of that and stretch both legs out long to the floor. And stretch the arms up and back alongside your ears. Good. Come over to your right side into a fetal position. Good. And then back up to your seat. And you're going to come forward to your hands and your knees. If the knees are a little bit sensitive here, you can take your blanket, if you've got one, and place it so it's padding the knees. And we're going to start with some really basic movement through cat-cow. So spinal extension, a gentle lift of the tailbone, opening the heart and the in-breath. And then rounding the spine, tucking the tailbone, chin to chest on the out-breath. Good. Inhale, open. And exhale, tuck and round. Good. A couple more in this way. And then we're going to start to move the hips in a big circle, going clockwise. And you'll take 2 or 3 big, spacious, broad circles with your hips. And then pause and go the other direction. And then letting the body settle into child's pose. So sitting all the way back toward the heels of the feet, or puppy pose. You could keep your hips more stacked over your knees and let the body just ground and settle here. Taking about 5 more breaths. Your next in-breath, go ahead and come forward to your hands and your knees. You might make your way into a downward facing dog for a few breaths, lifting your knees off of your mat and stretching through the hamstrings and shifting your weight a little bit from one foot to the other. If down dog's not for you, you can stay on the knees and just stretch one leg back at a time. Take a couple more breaths here. Good. Then you're going to come back down to your knees. If you happen to have a blanket, I want you to sit on your blanket. We're going to come into a side body stretch. So I have a bolster here that I'm going to use underneath the side body. You could use a rolled up mat or a cushion or a pillow, or you could just do it without a prop. That's fine too. So what you'll do is you'll come onto the right hip or one side, it doesn't matter, we'll do both sides, but take the right ribs over your bolster, your rolled up mat, or your cushion, and then let your head rest on your right arm, sending the left arm forward and alongside your ear. Now, if it doesn't feel good to you to rest on your right arm, you could take the arm out in front of you, let the head rest on the mat, or take a block or a pillow underneath the right side of your head. Okay. Another thing that you can do here is pull on your left wrist with your right hand, and you might even stretch the left leg out long to the floor. So you're reaching your left toes and your left fingertips far away from one another, lengthening this right side body. Feeling your breath long and lengthened between the ribs, the intercostal muscles, the shoulder. Can you give this about 5 more deep breaths, wherever that takes you? Good. Take one more deep breath here. And then you're going to gently ease your way back up. And before we take that on the other side, turn away from your bolster or whatever you're using here. And you can either keep the bolster as is and recline back over it for this waterfall pose or this kind of deep back bend. The head and the shoulders come toward the floor. If that feels like it's way too much, too aggressive, maybe you turn your bolster the other direction so it's lengthwise along your spine for a goddess pose. So your head and your shoulders are on the same plane here. So you're coming into your version of a supported back bend heart opener. The legs can be stretched out, kind of in a V, or maybe you choose to bring the soles of the feet together into Supta Baddha Konasana, similar to what we were in earlier in practice, but now you've got a little lift up through the back of the heart, the spine. And certainly there's a surrendering quality here in this posture. See if you might open up your palms, relax and soften, release tension and any sort of control or resistance. Good. We're going to take about 5 more deep breaths here in this supported back bend or heart opener. And for the last couple of breaths, stretch your legs out. Reach your arms up and back. And you can start to make your way back up and turn over to your left hip. And we'll come into this side body stretch on the other side. So you'll slide your left ribs over the bolster. Let your head rest on your left arm. Stretch your right arm forward and alongside your ear. Now, again here, you can take that left arm forward so you're not resting on your arm, or put something underneath your head here. You could also hold on to the right wrist with the left hand and give a little pull. And maybe stretch and reach through your right toes. So you're lengthening from your right fingertips to your right toes and really stretching out as best you can this right side body. And feeling your breath between the ribs and along the hip and the shoulder. And see if you can find a place where you can really settle and breathe deeply and feel that opening. We're going to take about 5 more breaths here. Good. And then as you're ready, let's go ahead and begin to transition back up, back to an upright position. And make your way back to your hands and your knees. And you can return back to this cat-cow movement, back and forth, or hip circles, or maybe you want to shift forward onto your belly and come into a sphinx pose or a cobra. And we're just going to take another minute or so here, just moving the body in an organic and healing, loving way. There's no rush to get anywhere or to do anything. You're welcome to settle back into a child's pose or down dog. And just working out any last little kinks in the body and in your practice. Good. And then you can continue with this for as long as you'd like. And then we are going to arrange our bodies for Shavasana, for corpse pose. So you can, I like to put a little padding, a little cushion behind the head, and a little bolster underneath the knees. That's my preferred version, but you can do whatever you'd like here, coming into a comfortable, reclined, surrendered position on your back, a place that feels really settled and comfortable and supported. Maybe you have an eye pillow you can place over your eyes. And allowing your body to settle, to release, to let go. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. When your eyes freeze behind the gray window and the ghost of loss gets into you, may a flock of colors, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to awaken in you a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays in the currach of thought and a stain of ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so, may a slow wind work these words of love around you. An invisible cloak to mind your life. That's John O'Donohue. You can begin here a deepening of the breath and a little bit of movement through the body. Making your way over to your side into a fetal position. And then coming back up to your seat. And take a full breath in, reach and lengthen up through the arms. And then the hands gather together at the heart. And we'll finish our practice this morning with one round of Om. Take a full breath in. Namaste. So I have a little bit of homework for you for this week, okay? Going back to what I read at the beginning of practice about the femur, about the thigh bone, right? That's the first sign of civilization, when we stay behind to help others, and that we're at our best when we are in service to others. And so can you make it a point this week to offer yourself as a service to others? And I'm sure that many of you do this anyway, but even if it's at your inconvenience, right? Like, I gotta go, or I don't have time for this, but maybe it's helping someone move, or maybe it's sitting with a friend in pain, or maybe it's, helping a stranger on the side of the road. I don't know. But just a little goal for ourselves for this week. Okay. Thank you so much. I love you. See you next time.